Hello, the stream is live, and yeah, it looks like we have chat here. Cool, it's been a while since I've streamed, but I'm excited about it. I'm gonna just make sure that Discord knows. Let's see. Nothing was posted. Let's actually just check out the stream and see if there's anything showing up. Hello, hello, hello. This is a test. I'm broadcasting live. Hopefully the bandwidth is okay. There's no delay.
Think you know the Suicide Squad?
Oh, perfect. Perfect. I'm gonna add first thing.
You don't know Squad. Just kidding.
9.
The Suicide Squad. Get your tickets now in theaters and on.
Okay. And I guess it still hasn't posted here. I don't know why. I thought it was set up automatically. Awesome. Cool. So it did. It figured it out. Oh, and I broadcasted my secret Twitch token live. That's great. Okay, cool. And I guess it's still I'm fine with this. I don't know why. And yeah, let's do some other stuff. So I'm gonna just message a few people really quick just to see if they want to join the stream. Okay. Jeez. Okay, cool. And just one more person. So probably not a lot of people gonna show up today. Because I haven't live streamed in forever. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So, yeah, let's explore some stuff. So, first of all, I probably need a new desktop background, right? Let's do that. Background, and then we'll talk about tech stuff. I want to talk about CSS today and CSS frameworks. I'm having a little trouble finding like a good CSS framework. I want something like really simple and easy to use, kind of like how Remake is. HD Windows back. Okay, so we don't have a wide one. I don't really care what it looks like that much. I guess this is fine. So yeah, I mean, CSS is pretty complicated. If you just want to like put something simple out there, it can be pretty overwhelming. So yeah, let's look at the top ones. So yeah, Bootstrap, Foundation, Bulma, UI Kit. I've never heard of Suzy. I guess I could just get that out of the way. See what Suzy is. From oddbird.net. I wonder what they are. Oh, by the way, sorry I'm not streaming with a webcam right now. I'm gonna start doing that after today. Okay, so it looks like this is like a SaaS thing. Okay, they have a book, so they're pretty serious about it. So we have Suzy 3. I guess we can look at that. It looks like it's a SaaS toolkit, and they're self-conscious about being a grid system, so they say they're not a grid system. um, 2020 is their latest. Suzy was a responsive layout engine from SAS before Flexbox and CSS Grid were available. Suzy is now deprecated and will not receive updates. Okay, got it. Let's see what else Oddbird is up to. Custom web app, and they like rotating things. I mean, it's a nice looking site. It's very simple and clear. I like that a lot. I wonder though if they're like working on a new CSS framework. Cascading colors. Herman. Automated style guide. Accoutrement. Integrated design system management in SAS. Unit testing for SAS developers. Okay, cool. So yeah, it doesn't look like they have a new huh. That's weird. I thought this would be fine. I don't know. I guess I'm using a lot of system resources. Let's see. Chrome. What the? Why are there so many Chrome processes? I only had like 3 tabs open. There were like a million Chrome processes. Okay, so we got OBS. That makes sense. It's adding a lot. Dropbox. Discord. I mean, we're not using a ton, right? I guess it's still running a little bit slow. This is a pretty fast computer though. Like this, I mean, it's old, but it can run pretty high intensity games. And all I'm doing is streaming. I guess, yeah, the issue is probably that I'm streaming at a high resolution. I mean, I have a widescreen too, so it's I think that's probably part of the reason. Anyways, let's get back into CSS frameworks. So we have Suzy, which is I guess dead now. We have Bootstrap, Foundation, Bulma, Tailwind. They're all like so complicated. Like let's look at Bootstrap for a little bit. I'm sure it'll be here. Okay, Tailwind, CSS, Bootstrap, here we go. So the problem with Bootstrap is it's just a lot of individual components. Like I wanna write HTML and CSS like I'm writing Markdown or something, you know, like where there's just like, I don't know, 10 or 20 different elements that I have to worry about. And here, you look at how many components they have. It's just like, it's so many components. And then even just for like the layout, like let's look at, they have so many different concepts just for layout, right? So you have different size containers, responsive containers, fluid containers, you have some SAS stuff. I mean, containers don't feel that complicated. But then you've got grid and then columns, I guess, inside of grid. Yeah, exactly. So you have containers, grid, then columns, and then gutters. And that's only for layout. Like, that's only for layout. And what I really want is something that's a bit more opinionated. Like, I get that you might want to have some text next to an image that's floated right. I get that. That makes sense. But I wish, like, it wasn't possible. Like, in my ideal CSS framework, this wouldn't be possible. Like, be more opinionated. Like, just make me create a column. You know, it's not even like this looks that good, right? Like, why are you gonna go full width here? It doesn't make sense. Like, either put the image on a new line, or just put it in a different column, like next to it. And like, the idea is not that like you don't want all the flexibility. It's that all the flexibility, like having all the flexibility, comes with a lot more options. Which is just like crap. Like, there's just so much to look at. Typography, these like H1 through H6 look good, but like why? Oh, okay, so they have the actual HTML and then they have the classes to match. So you can give your paragraph tag an H1 class, which makes, I like that. I don't like that they're default. I wish that these weren't sized, the default HTML elements. That doesn't make sense to me. And then we have display headings. Okay, so we have regular headings, we have display headings. I mean, the thing is like, it's not like that doesn't make sense. It totally makes sense. You want your display headings, like if you're working on like a landing page, it makes sense. You want a larger font size than like if you're writing a blog post and you're just using some headings there. But it creates this extra layer of complication, right? And then we have a lead paragraph, inline text elements. Okay, yeah, this is fine, but I mean, don't you already have this? Like, is this a Bootstrap style? I feel like strike through is built into the browser, right? It shouldn't have to be a Bootstrap style. Yeah, it's just, why do they have this? They have this like, oh, look what Bootstrap does for you. This isn't what Bootstrap does for you. This is all default browser styling. I don't even understand. I don't understand why this is here. But whatever. I guess maybe... Okay, yeah, okay, so they're saying, okay, you can also do it with classes. This I don't get too. It's like, if you have the HTML elements to do it, just let the HTML elements do it. I know there's like a lot of arguments around like, oh, should I use, you know, strong or the B tag? It's like, just use the B tag. But even if you use strong, it's like, whatever. I mean, use that if you want. But use the tag. Don't use a class for something that a tag is going to do. I don't know. I mean, whatever. Use a class if you want. But that's the idea behind Tailwind, right? Is that you're going to use a class for everything, right? And Tailwind is great. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I was kind of gradually heading in this direction, not to like creating a framework like this, but just using frameworks like this. Like, I was using Tachyons for a while, which is very similar. Like, I think Tailwind probably took a lot of inspiration from Tachyons, because they were out, I think, a couple years before Tailwind, but Tailwind just took it to the next level, which, I mean, was genius, a genius decision. But like, I get that you want to create, this is so nice. Yeah, I mean, it gives you so much flexibility, right? Oh, it's so nice. Like, look, this is like just beautifully designed. Like, how beautifully designed is that? And then, you have elegant. Yeah, that's nice too. Like, each one of these just had a shit ton of attention put into it. And I guess there's not that many classes. Like, if we look at this, okay, so you have the SVG. We can ignore that because that's just an icon. And you have these buttons that are, okay, so this is the heart. You have a flex here, flex auto, I don't know what flex auto means, but then you have a flex here and you have some space between it, and you must have some how is this getting the margin on the left, right? It must have some margin. Oh no, you have the space through here. Okay. Oh, it's so nice. It's so nice. It's just too flexible, you know, like I wish there were it's like such a beautifully presented homepage too. Oh my goodness. It's overwhelming how nice this is. It really is. Because I would love to create a product like this that's just this beautiful and beautifully presented, right? Like, it's so nice. Okay, I'm over it. I'm over it. So, yeah, so I wish there was a tailwind, and I guess, I don't know, I can fucking create it, I guess. That was just, like, much simpler, like, it just gave you fewer options. Like, you know how you have, like, just look here, right? You have all these different widths. It makes sense. It totally makes sense why you would want all of those options. But, like, just, like, give me half of them. Like, even if it ruins part of my design, like, I can't do it. Jeez, they have some really nice testimonials too. Oh, yeah, so even if it would like limit my design a lot, I would still want to have fewer options. Like, I guess that is what Tailwind is doing, right? Like that's the whole idea behind Tailwind, is that you, like with CSS, you have literally unlimited options, right? You can have a margin of 1 pixel or 2 pixels or 3 pixels. And if we look at layout, and then they must have margins somewhere. Yeah, margin. So if we look at them, okay, so sure, they give you 1 pixel, right? They give you 0 pixels, they give you 1 pixel, but then they start going into these more like higher level margins, right? So this is probably margin 0.5. So 0.125. So I think, yeah, if your base font size is 16 pixels, then this is 8, and then this is 4, and then this is 2 pixels. So they give you 0, 1, 2, but then they start doubling. So they go to 4. I guess this is 6. So they give you a lot of options, actually. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. I get it. I get why you would want all of these. I really do. Like, I mean, look at how many beautiful things they're able to create. Like, I guarantee, I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure that this entire site is built in Tailwind, right? Like, they're probably not using anything custom here. I would actually be curious about that. I'm actually a little curious now that I say that. I mean, it would have to be, right? I mean, they would probably change Tailwind in order to JS focus visible. I wonder what that means. Data JS focus visible. BGY anti-alias. Yeah, so I mean, it's probably, I wonder what this is. Framework? Oh, this looks like some kind of Webpack thing. And I guess they're probably on, yeah, they are. They're on Next.js. Okay, well anyways, yeah, this whole homepage, and I'm pretty sure all of the documentation is probably built in Tailwind. So it's super flexible, right? You're able to create these beautiful layouts. I actually want to know how they do this sidebar over here, if this is like a defined width or if it's like a percentage width. I mean, I guess like part of what I'm trying to do is just convince myself to use Tailwind to like start learning it, because it is kind of like learning CSS all over again, but like I guess it's like less to learn. I don't know. I mean, a lot of your CSS knowledge will translate, right? But it's probably a similar amount to learn, just in terms of like, okay, what prefix am I using? You know, M for margin. What options do I have? Oh, I have 1, but I also have 1.5, right? So what is this? This is, let's actually just look at the classes. So it's fixed position. Okay, so that makes sense because I'm going to scroll the page, and this is going to stay in the top left. That makes sense. Z index 40. Is this like an actual value? I actually want to look in the sidebar for this. Yeah, okay, so Z index 40, so manually setting 40. Inset 0, don't know what that means. Flex none. Height full. I wonder how they do height. Okay, so it's 100% height. That doesn't work when you're inside of some boxes, but we're in flex, so I guess 100% height works there. Background black. Background opacity 25. So it's a light. Is this a light gray? It looks white to me. Oh, large background white. Okay. Large static. Don't know what that means yet. Large. And we are on large right now, I believe. Like, I believe all of this counts as large. And they probably have extra large too. Which, like, that's another thing. Breakpoints, like, oh my god. Like, so many issues. I would rather just, like, have 3 breakpoints, right? Like, you have 1280 is like a pretty common screen resolution, so it's just like, just give me 1280 and have that like resize itself down to 1024, right? Without another breakpoint, right? So we just have 1024 and above. That's I guess one breakpoint, and then the next breakpoint is just like 640 and above, and that's it. I just want those 2. So I guess it's 3, right? You have below 640 and below. I guess 1024 and below, and then 1280. I don't know, 1024 to all the way up, right? And I want it to like, I want most of it to be automatic, right? Like, for example, if we resize this, let's do, I guess, iPhone. No, that doesn't make sense. Let's just do responsive. Why did it change? Responsive. Oh, I guess I have to click. Okay, there we go. So if I click here, mobile, small. Yeah, okay, so like this font size changed, right? Like if we look at this, what is the font size of this? I wonder if my stream's going through okay. I guess I don't really have anyone to ask. Yeah, it's just me here. So maybe that, I mean, it's probably not why. It's probably because I just started streaming again, and I'm not, I just don't have a regular schedule yet. But let's just see if this stream is coming through okay. I just want to make sure that I started streaming, that I'm not lagging too much. So it's broadcasting at 1080p, and I want to make sure it's, I guess it's not coming through, and I'm not, oh yeah, no way, I just got a follower. Don't have a regular schedule yet. Hey, thank you. But let's just see if the stream is coming through okay. Sec. Thank you very much for following. I just want to make sure appreciate it. That Is the stream coming through for you? Then I'm not lagging too much. Like, so broadcasting at 1080p. For me, it's a little laggy, and I could broadcast at like 720p, I guess. I guess it's not coming until I get my internet fixed, and I'm not. If that's the problem. But let me know if it's coming through okay. I guess it's kind of okay. Hey, thank you. But let's just see. Okay. So I guess maybe it's okay. Okay, so yeah, so I think this font size is smaller. Yeah, 12 pixels. They go down to 12 pixels. I would never do that. I think 16 pixels is like a good stopping point. But this looks small too. I bet this is like 14 pixels right there. Let's see. So let's turn off the mobile here and inspect this and see what font size it's at. Okay, so font size 0.75, which might be, yeah, it's 12. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Okay, so so yeah, so it's a consistent font size across mobile as well as desktop. Which is weird. This looks more readable to me than 12. I would have assumed that was like 14. I mean, I did assume it was 14. So, yeah. Okay. Well, I gotta say, this documentation is fucking killer. Like, really good. It's a lot to learn, but maybe it's okay. Line height. Yeah, you just want different line heights sometimes. That's interesting. They do it in REM, but then these ones they do without REM. I've always done it without. I think it just works better. Because this is like an absolute measure based on your wait, why don't they have letting 1 here? Isn't that weird? They have letting 3 but not 1? And why? Oh, but I guess well, just the naming. Why do they start at 3 and why does that equal to 0.75? I guess, I don't know, maybe they fixed line heights. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me why they have that, but that's fine. You know what? Maybe they added these. No, I don't know. I have no idea. Cause like, why would you have it absolute? Like, if your base font size is 16 pixels, then these are all absolute values, right? Unless you change your base font size for mobile. But like these are all pretty absolute, and then like if you have like a subheading, right, and you want to give that a line height, you want to make that relative, right? Like you don't want to make that based on your base font. I mean, I guess you could. It feels a little weird though. But whatever. I don't know. Like obviously these people know a lot more about CSS and design than I do. Because they have created something really, really nice, and they do a lot of thinking about it, you know. So I'm sure if I got into it, there would be a reason for that. Maybe it's, yeah, I guess it's probably to maintain the what do you call it, like the vertical rhythm, right? Because I bet their font sizes respect. I bet they mention vertical rhythm here. Providing a default line height, default letter spacing, variance, disabling. No, I guess they don't say anything about vertical rhythm. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I think they probably thought about it. That's interesting. I like this. Like, they could have let it wrap, but instead And I bet they clamp it, huh? And yeah, of course they're going to use a CSS, Tailwind CSS class for this to clamp it. Truncate, yeah. Let's look up truncate here. Truncate. So truncate, overflow, ellipsis, and that, yeah, I think that's what they were using there. Overflow, clip, that's fine. Responsive, but they don't, yeah, they don't have multiple line. Huh, they don't have multiple line. I mean, I guess the, yeah, let's search for Tailwind CSS multi-line truncate. Yeah. Oh, it's recent. Huh. Okay. Let's see what they say. A few weeks back, we released Tailwind CSS line clamp, an official Tailwind CSS plugin for truncating text. Wow. Okay. I mean, it's just surprising to me that this is a plugin. I mean, it makes sense. Maybe it's got some JavaScript in it. Build. That doesn't sound like JavaScript. Oh, okay, here we go. Where's the string value? Uh-huh. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so they... Let's see what they're doing here. So line clamp plugin function value theme line clamp add utilities value. I don't even know what this is. Values. I don't know what this is, but they're mapping over these values for the theme line clamp. Oh, and look at them. They're all fancy, not using semicolons where they don't need to. Okay, so anyways, they're looping over this. They're overflow hidden, display. So this is what I would expect, because WebKit does support multi-line line clamp. Okay, and then they unset it. I guess that's it. Oh, I was expecting them to do some JavaScript if the WebKit property wasn't supported. That's weird. Okay, so they don't. They just don't. So it's literally just, it's weird. Why would they release this as a plugin? Why not just release it as part of the main framework? Okay, beautiful design. You've nailed all the different things. It looks totally amazing until you, okay. Aren't magically exactly 3 lines long. Now each card is a different HUD. Sound familiar? Limecam plugin is here to save your bacon. First install the bacon. First install the bacon. First install the plugin. Then all you need to do is add line clamp n. Yeah. Sure. I mean, but why not include that in the main? Oh, I guess, yeah, okay. Well, I was gonna say, I guess it's because it requires some kind of build, but it doesn't. Like, literally, all they're doing is adding overflow hidden, display website. Oh, well, no, because they could have just written this out manually, right? This is just 6 new 6 new CSS declarations, right? Yeah. Weird, very weird to me that they released this separately and they haven't really touched it. Unreleased, nothing yet. Oh, okay, that's cool. I like that. Period of dependency. Okay. Allow using numbers instead of strings in your config. What does that mean? See, this is the problem with Tailwind, honestly, is that um, so before I get into that, like they've kept API pretty similar. I think I heard actually that Adam Wathan, one of the creators of Tailwind, I think he said that they made like some wrong decisions early on about like some of the naming, and they kept them anyways. Um, and maybe they'll like change them in Tailwind 3.0 or whatever, but they just wanted to keep the API the same for people so that they didn't have to, update all their code. They realize they've become popular and a lot of people depend on them, so they're not going to screw those people, and that's a really nice, awesome thing to do. The problem is like a lot of decisions have been made already that I don't know, I don't have the context for. And I feel like, I don't know, maybe like let's look at grid template columns, right? Well, this one's pretty simple. But like maybe they tried a different approach to this before and then they discarded it and they're like, no, this is the better approach. And so they went with this. And like I don't have that context, so when I'm coming here I mean, maybe this is a bad example, but like, I don't know, for like the margins, for example, like the margins have always confused me. Like when I make utility CSS for myself, if I have a margin like an M1, right? Like this is equal to 1 rem, or it's equal to 1 pixel, right? But it's not equal to 0.25 rem. Like, what? Like, why are you gonna name it M1 then? I mean, like, I get it. Like, it's, I don't know. Like, it doesn't have to line up, and this is, I don't know. Like, the lowest margin. I literally don't know. And this actually might have been one of the things that Adam mentioned as like, oh, well, we did it this way, so we're sticking with it for the future. But how is M 2.5 equal to 0.625 rem? It just doesn't make sense. So like I'm fine with it when it comes to margin, but like there must be other things in here that are deeper, right? That maybe they needed to stick with. And so now I'm gonna have to learn that way of doing it, and then it's possible they do a cleanup with version 3.0, right? Where they redo all of that stuff and they rename it better. And now I've got all this other stuff stuck in my head about the first way they did it. And with CSS, with plain CSS, that's not a problem, right? Now that being said, they really haven't changed the API that much, and I think they've made an effort for that. Why do they have text opacity and that's different than other opacities? Oh, Siri thought I was talking to her. Yeah, why is text opacity? Why is this different? Using text opacity amount. Don't try to use text opacity utilities on an inherited text color. That's interesting. Do make sure to add a text color utility to the same element explicitly. See, so like this, for example, is like, what the fuck, dude? Like, let me just... Why would that be a thing? Why? And like, they don't tell you why. They're just like, dude, don't do it. It's a rule. So, I don't know, it's fine, but yeah. I guess enough Tailwind for now. Let's look at this thing real quick. What do they say about this? So, force value to be a string, so PostCSS does not append PX. If someone chooses to configure the value for line clamp but uses a number instead of a string, PostCSS will convert the unit list value to a pixel value. Oh. Well, crappers. So what did this do? Okay, so it doesn't convert it, so it just automatically puts it in as a string before PostCSS has a chance to convert it to a pixel value. Yeah, that's kind of crappy of PostCSS. I mean, of course, it's just another example of them not thinking about the wide range of things that their product would end up being used for in the future. Okay, so anyways, let's close Tailwind CSS. I am very interested in Tailwind CSS. I always have been, but I have bought into other frameworks before and then been burned by them. And I do honestly think... Oh, focus ring. This is cool. I do honestly think that... What was I going to say? I don't even know. Control K. That's so cool. It's so cool. It's so nice. Ay. It's so nice. I should add this to the remake site. This is beautiful. I wonder if this, if I could use this, website template. I wonder if Tailwind CSS is licensed. I guess they don't explicitly license it. License. Huh. Yeah, I mean, they probably don't want you to. And they don't say anything about it. So, yeah. Let's look at the issues real quick. Any chance for a sitemap.xml? Oh, okay, yeah, this is interesting. Which license does this repo use? Closed. Hey, no license. It's source available for educational purposes, but it's not open source. Number 75. Oh, proprietary. Huh. It's like a really, I don't know, like, I feel like this is unclear. I mean, like, it's cool, but like, if someone, like, I wouldn't copy it. They obviously don't want you to copy it. But like, if someone copied the documentation site, what would happen? I don't know. It's just, I have no idea what would happen. Because they don't have a license on it and they put the code public, so I don't understand exactly what would stop someone from doing that. I guess it's still copyrighted, right? Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah. Okay, so what I just said is true about any website, right? You can see the source and download the entire website, and it's still like illegal to just wholesale copy a website because it's copyrighted. So, okay, that makes sense. So they just made it easy to see the source code, and that's a nice thing to do. Okay, cool. So yeah, so we've got focus rings. Okay, cool. So we're gonna, well, actually, before I close this, so I do just want to like talk about like what I think like a simple version of Tailwind would look like. So I said like I would want like 3 breakpoints pretty much. I don't really need the extra wide breakpoint. Dark mode, fuck that. Focus ring, fuck that. Extended color palette, fuck that. Animations, fuck that. Gradients, fuck that. Like, I don't, like, there's so much you don't need for like a basic website. Like if we look at, like what I'm thinking about is like just like creating like I guess like a landing page, right? Or yeah, let's go to Crewip. They're one of my favorite like startup landing page. websites. I actually have a really nice deal right now. So if we go to this like first example, there's so many things here that you don't really need an advanced CSS for. I mean, honestly, like this whole dark thing is great, but just like decide what you want and then just do that. Like, no one, I don't know. Like, I get it. Maybe you want it to be on dark mode, but just like, and you want people to be able to switch. But I think just like choose one or the other. Just design that. Like, and I'm not talking about like long term. Like long term, use the most advanced CSS framework you want to. What I'm talking about is like if you're trying to get an idea out there tomorrow, just see if it works, see if it's good. I don't think Tailwind is a good choice. That's a strong statement. I think if you already know Tailwind, then absolutely it's a good choice. But like, okay, so like we want to create a navigation. We want to have like a button on the top right. We want to have a large font heading. We want to have a subheading. We're going to have an input next to a button. And then we want to have like a list with like some custom icons. We're going to have like 4 blocks next to each other. And then I think for this, like we don't really need this kind of, what do you call this? Gallery? No, this is called something. I'm sure I can. It's not an accordion. It's not even close to an accordion. What is that called? A slide, a carousel. That's what it's called. So we don't really need a carousel. We could just have like 3 blocks next to each other. And of course we have the, centered heading with the centered subheading, and we do that again for the next section. For this, I don't really get this ever. Like, you don't need this. Like, if it's important enough to include on your homepage, split it up into different sections, right? You don't need this, like, sub-navigation. Or just don't include it, right? So, I don't know. That's just my view, especially if it's the first version of your homepage. So for this, I think you would just need, the same kind of thing as this, right? These 4 blocks next to each other. You would just have, maybe like 3 blocks next to each other and then another 3 and some text next to them. And then same thing again, we have the heading and the subheading centered, 3 blocks next to each other. You don't really need this like fancy line connecting them. I get it. I get why you would want it. It does add some like visual flair and professionalism to it. But what I'm talking about is like the first year even that you've released a project. You really should not be focused on design details, in my opinion. This is just my opinion, but like you should be focused on messaging, you should be focused on marketing, and you should be focused on making sure the product suits the needs of your audience. And you don't even need to be focused on the last part, because as long as you have like a good homepage and you're promoting it well enough, you can get a lot of early signups and just kind of validate the product very gradually that way without even building anything. Then this, again, we have like 4 blocks next to each other. This has like some custom styles in it. And then we have these, and then same thing, again, 4 blocks next to each other, and then the input next to the button. So like a lot of this is like very, very similar. Like you don't, like in order to build this homepage, you do not need, let's see, you do not need themes, you do not need that many breakpoints. You probably just need like 2 or 3 breakpoints. You'll notice the color scheme like is not nuanced. They have like 2 colors, and of course you need different variations of those colors, right? But that's not a huge color scheme. You really just need like 1 container, 1 box sizing, and that can all be in your CSS, reset or whatever. You don't need too much spacing. I mean, I think a lot of the spacing can be built in, right? You'll notice that a lot of these boxes have like some padding around them. I really think that like the size of the box should determine the space inside of it. And I'm not saying this is true for like all web design or whatever, right? But like if you're just building a home page, I think it's true. Like look at this box. This box has very similar padding around it to this box, and they are similar sizes. And I think probably the size of this box corresponds relatively to like the size of the padding. And same thing here, right? And so like as the box gets a little bit smaller, change the padding a little bit. And like this box is a bigger box, and so we have bigger padding. I don't know. I mean, it's a kind of a stupid idea, but I can't really get it out of my head right now. About like, what if there was Tailwind CSS, but there were like 20 options, I guess, right? Like you have like your font size options, your typography options, you have like a few different layouts, right? But like even this, for example, the phone number and the request code, right? Like, let's look at this. Like, would it be the worst thing to put those on separate lines? Like, I'm not saying I would, like even in my framework. Oh wow, look at their classes. Yeah, very weird classes. But if I put with 100% on this, it doesn't do anything because this is Flexbox. So if I say, well, it's not even expanding with display, I guess my computer is dying. Display black. Yeah, okay, that's not going to do anything because this is Flexbox. Display flex. Yeah, okay, so now we got separate lines, and if we give this a margin, yeah, my computer's really dying. This is very sad. Being very slow. Margin bottom 1 rem. So yeah, would this be, sorry, I messed up the whole website, but like let's just look at this part right here. Would this be the worst thing if like you had the input on a separate line as the button? It's really not that bad. And so like, do you even need that? I mean, I guess you need the ability to put things side by side because you need it in the nav, you need it for like icons and stuff. Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think of a way that we could make a framework that doesn't need like all of these tiny little spacing things, right? Like this has like padding and margin and space between, right? So we have all these different padding options, so many margin options, same thing, like just so many, right? And then space between, the space between child elements. This is a really cool thing. Calc var space between reverse. Wow, I don't even know what that means. Space between reverse. I really don't know what does that fucking mean. Oh, space 0. So it'd be 0. So it'd be 1 minus 0. So it'd be 1, and then 0px times 1. Is that how it would work? Point. So like whatever is here, is that what the TW space x reverse is? I don't know. But anyways, horizontal space. Yeah, that's nice. Margin right, margin left. Margin right, margin left. So yeah, how does it get it? Is this a real element? These are real elements. Oh, but this isn't going to be a real example of this, right? Because they have this element right here. That's a real element. I think. So yeah, it's it's funny that for the like illustration of the space between, they don't use space between, which makes sense. It's just supposed to be an illustration. But I wish I could see it being used. But anyways, this is enough, right? You don't really need, like, who needs margin and padding? Do you need margin and padding, or can you just do space between for everything? I don't know. It's kind of a weird thought, but like, here, let's refresh this. Is there a point? So if like everything is boxes and every box has its own padding, right? Like let's say all of these are in little boxes with padding, and then you just put them next to each other, 0 space between, and then somehow you align this button to the right. Do you need margin or padding for that? I don't think you do. You do have a little space on the top, but that could just, I don't know, that could be something else. And then you have some space here. Yeah, I don't know, maybe you have like a spacer element that's like 1 rem tall, and so you put that above, and then you put like 3 or 4 of them right here. And then here, so yeah, here we kind of run into some issues. So we have a box, right? And it's actually got no padding on the left, but it's got padding on the top and the bottom. And what I was talking about is every box would have its own padding, and I was thinking it would have padding on the top, left, bottom, and right. Like everything. And it doesn't work for this, because you do want your like masthead to be left aligned. So it doesn't really make sense there. So I guess you could use like a no padding box here, and then you could add in some like spacer elements. I don't know. It's weird. That's weird. How else could you do this? I mean, the thing is, too, is that, like, I don't want to mimic this design. I just want to, like, have a good enough, how do you, facsimile? How do you say facsimile? I really don't know how to, facsimile. An exact copy. Make a copy of.
Facsimile.
Facsimile. Okay. But yeah, a good enough copy of this that it's not, that it doesn't look horrible. Has anyone chatted? Oh, McIntyre. Had to jump through some Twitch hoops to get logged in. On the breakpoint simplification you talked about, I think you can do that. See the overriding screens key here. Thank you, McIntyre 1994. And thank you for following too. Extending the default breakpoints. Max width breakpoints. Okay. Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, I wonder how much you can override in can you yeah, I guess you can yeah, okay, here it is. Here's everything you can override. So theme, breakpoints, colors, spacing, variants. What are variants? Okay. Variants. And then we got plugins. Very cool. Yeah, okay. Thank you. I'm sorry this didn't show up for me. I wish I got like an alert when someone chatted. Chat. Message. Yeah, I don't know how to get a notification when someone chats. But thank you for saying that. I think you said that a while ago. Okay, well, I gotta go, but it was really nice streaming for the first time in a while, and I really appreciate everyone who stopped by. And I'm gonna keep thinking about Tailwind. I'm probably not gonna use Bootstrap. I kind of don't like Bootstrap, but I might create my own framework too, which is just, I don't know, kind of silly. But I have created a lot of like my own like not frameworks but like CSS from scratch. So I kind of feel like at this point it wouldn't be that hard. And I think I would just really like to have something super simple, something that doesn't give me a lot of options, right? Like I don't want all of the Tailwind options. I do want to learn Tailwind. Don't get me wrong. I really want to learn Tailwind, but I think if I'm just putting together a simple landing page, I don't want to have to think in Tailwind. Maybe it's stupid. Maybe I should just bite the bullet. But I don't know. This is my thinking right now, is that I think this can mostly be done with like simple boxes and a few custom styles. And yeah, that's all I've got. That's all I've got for now. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for stopping by. And I guess I'll go see if it's worth rating anyone else. I think I only have like probably 5 people here or less. So probably not worth rating anyone. I just like rating